are there any sort of geographical differences? Are there, I assume that this is, a lot more widely accepted throughout, say the US and UK and Europe rather than Asia. I mean, are there big geographical differences or?
No, actually, it depends on the use case. So for the consumer use case, the scalable consumer use case is actually Asia has been in the forefront of adopting FIDO. So a mobile first use case, you're looking at native app. There are dozens of banks in China that are using FIDO to protect their, allow their users to log in rather than using passwords. Likewise, in Korea and Japan, NTT Docomo, the mobile operator in Japan, has been one of the most innovative. They're always an innovative company, but they've been one of the leaders in deploying FIDO at scale to consumers. So I think it's from that use case, we're actually seeing a lot of growth in Asia. And North America and Europe have lagged a little bit behind. But from an enterprise standpoint, it's certainly, I think it's pretty even across the board.
That's really interesting. It's really interesting, and as you said, I think one of the things that's probably really expedited this move away from your traditional passwords is COVID. I think digital transformation's been expedited and people have been dragged in some cases kicking and screaming into this new world. And I think that they've recognized it's not enough just to sort of say, well, we initially had to enable you to work from home and give you access to all this stuff and provide this capability, but now we really need to double down on the security and start thinking about what that means and putting all these security controls in place. And it's really promising to see that it's being so well adopted.
Yeah, I mean, COVID. I'm just looking at some data right now. The number and types of attacks that kind of went up exponentially. After COVID is phenomenal. Yeah. So Google, for example, is blocking 18 million. COVID-themed malware and phishing emails per day during in the mid 2020.
Crazy.
The increase in cyber attacks went up multiple fold, both for consumers and for enterprises. And the fact of the matter is, phishing is really a plague, and this comes back to the core thing we're trying to solve. A well-designed phishing attack, so not your Nigerian prince kind of thing, but a well-designed attack has over a 50% success rate. Right, so not a click rate, success rate. And that's because, ultimately these hackers are good at what they do. They're professionals like we are, but they're professionals at taking advantage of one's good nature, of human nature. And that's what they do, whether it's phishing or social engineering or vishing. All they're trying to do is acquire a knowledge-based credential, something And so what we need to do again is move away from something to something you have, to proving possession of the device by using a security key or a biometric. And another key thing people need to understand is that's not just passwords, right? This is what I'm saying, knowledge-based versus possession-based. The second factor, like an OTP, whether it's an SMS OTP or even an OTP app, those can be phished as well. In fact, I was seeing an article this morning from Brian Krebs about a whole new spate of automated SMS interceptors. So they're OTP interceptors. So so you could actually buy these things on the dark web, and it's quite easy. So if I have some basic credentials about you, and those, this is more for targeted attacks, but this is, this has to be keeping CISOs up at night if you think about your workforce. There's a fair amount of information about individuals out there, and these are automated systems that can troll, dozens or hundreds of users in a very automated way and get their OTPs, right? Whether that's an app like Authy or whether that's an SMS. And then once you have that information, you can take over those accounts. So again, we really fundamentally need to change the way that people authenticate. And it's quite possible by just, the difference between a knowledge-based attack and possession-based, the knowledge-based can scale and can happen remotely. If it's possession-based, you literally need to be holding something and to authorize, the authentication to authorize a transaction. And that just simply does not scale.